Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Today we are back and feeling better. So, last night we worked a bit on placing buildings within and clamping them. Okay? So, let's just go through how we achieved this. You'll notice now that we have a main menu per se. We click on New Game and Buildings, and you can now see that it doesn't give you a free wherever you want to place it. It actually moves what is in fact 250 units, okay? And we can place them in a line, like so. Now, the next issue, or let's actually just go through this to how we did this. So, when the button's clicked, temporary building is created. We get the hit result under the cursor, break the vector, get X and Y. We have a variable called grid size, which gives us, it's at the moment 500 units. What we basically do is we divide the X and Y by the grid size. We take the non-modulus part, which is this return. So we basically forget the remainder, multiply it back up by the grid size, and then set the temporal location of the wireframe to that position, and then we set a transform variable, the X and Y location, to the X and Y location that we have just calculated. When we click on the button, we then use that transform to place down the building, and that is how we do that. Okay, so the question now is, we want a can place. We have a variable here called can place, right? So we're going to have to calculate where and if we have a legitimate position that we can place the building. Now, we know each move, so let's place a building right there. Then we'll try to place another building. So, we have 1, 2, 3. So that's 2,500 units, okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to create a function and we're going to call it can place building. Okay, and it's going to have an output, and we'll call it viable, and it's going to be a bool. Okay, now the interesting thing here is we're going to have line traces. So we're going to line trace by channel, and we are actually going to be passing in now both these start and end Z positions are going to be, let's call it a 1. Okay, and we are going to split both of these. Now, what I was thinking earlier was that we're going to create a local variable called can place building. I don't, why did that change the name of that there? Okay, we'll call it as viable. And it's by default going to be set to true. But if we hit anything, we are going to set it to false. So let's give it a line length, and it's going to be a float. And by default, it's going to be 2,500. Okay. Now, I don't think I've got this quite right yet, the logic for it, but we'll work on it. We're going to set as viable to false. Actually, we're going to set it to true. Okay. And let's just do this in one direction first, okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to take the transform and we're going to split it, and then we're going to split the location. Then we are going to get the line length and we're going to add it. So it's float plus float. And fundamentally what we're going to do is we're going to do this 4 times. We're going to do it on the X first. Okay. So, what should I think about this? So, start X and start Y, and then end X and end Y. So, what that's going to do is give us whether or not it's hitting something to the left. Now what we'll do is we'll draw it. Okay. And then what we're going to do, we're going to do a print string to see if it actually hits anything. So we're going to get our out hit, we're going to break that result, and this is going to give us our hit actor, and that's going to change to the display name, which is going to tell us exactly what we hit. Okay. So we shall just plug that in there. And we'll save that. Right, so if we go back to our original event graph, right, then we can call our can place building and we can set our can place to whether it's viable or not. Okay, so when we've set our viable, right, what we could do, well, actually what we want to do here is we want to get this and then do a branch of it. Okay, now these two are going to move left a bit. And we can basically plug these two into here and set that to there. Right, so once we have done that, we should be able to see you can see it drawing the line traces. So it's drawing them up. But it's not allowing us to place it. Okay. So we can stop that for now. Now, the thing is, it's actually the opposite. So we can say not. And plug that in. We can fix this up later if we're not happy with the way it's reading. But so basically that placed okay. Now the interesting thing is there we can see it's hitting a building and that allows us to place. So that's fine. Okay. So that is actually working. Put that there. And if we go back to our can place building, we're going to stop this because this isn't quite right. We knew that. Now we need to calculate 4 more of these because we need to do left, right and up and down. So we're basically going to do another one. And we're going to paste that, except that is going to be minus the line length. Okay? Now we can do this slightly differently later on if we want. Okay, we can calculate these. When we come in. In fact, I think that's what we'll do. So we'll create a XPOS. Actually, we shall delete that and we shall make it local variables. We'll call it XPOS. We shall create another one, and it's going to be called YPOS. So we've got X position, Y position. Okay, now we can basically set these when we come in. And it's basically going to be that plus that then we can drag this across a bit. Okay. This is basically to keep things a bit tidier. It doesn't really have functional. It doesn't make any real functional difference. So we'll close them all up. Okay. Then we'll break that. Okay, and then we'll say get XPOS, then XPOS goes in there. Then it goes in XPOS start, and then that is XPOS end. Then we can get YPOS, which is basically Y position. And the X and the Y, in this case, both end on the same thing. So that's that. Then we can delete this, and I can duplicate that. We can once again plug that in there. We can move this a little bit, then we can basically move that to there. That goes into index, and that's Y. That's Y. That's XPOS start. There we go. Now we've got two more of these to do, which is now going to be on the Y. So this is going to be the exact same thing as here, except we're going to be doing it on the Y. So we're going to break that. We're going to swap these about. And we're going to copy the line trace, pop it straight over to here. Then our XPOS start and XPOS end are going to be the same. And then our YPOS is going to be there, and our out one is going to be there. And now we are going to have to put a check in after each one to see if we hit anything, but that's fine. And again, we're going to duplicate that. We're going to move it over to here. We're going to move that across. Then we're going to move all this up. Then we can basically put a thing in there. Then we've got our minus. And this is, oh, wrong one. Okay, so we're going to put our X pos up here. Our Y pos is going to actually go there. Then we're going to go like that, like that, like that, like that. Then change it to start X, end X, then start Y, then this is going to be end Y, and there we go. So, all good. Oh, very good indeed. We'll put that in there just now. We'll save that. Now, the thing here is that after each one, we need the branch. And if the value is true, we say is viably false. Okay? Now we are going to need a bit more space for this, so let's give ourselves some more space. Let's give ourselves a good bit more space. So if we hit something, is viable equals false. Okay? Now, in actual fact, what we'll do here is we shall do a not I'll show you why I'm doing this in a minute. We're basically, this is going to just tidy things up and make the code a little more efficient. So it's actually the other way around. So that sets to there. We'll break that. We'll bring this over. That's going to be true. And from this, we can bring in a reroute node, okay? Then we're basically going to do the same thing again. Okay. It's going to come in there. Then we're going to do the same thing again. Move this to the left a bit. Then what we can do is drag this along and do another reroute node. And when we do the reroute node, we can join it up. We can basically bring that there. We can drag this down. Okay, sorry about that. I had to turn the mic off. The dog was getting a bit upset about people outside. And now what we can do is the final one. Can drag that out. Drag this back a bit. Duplicate this part. Pop it in here. Connect those up. Let's just do that. I think switching the mic off again. I think the dog's gonna have a heart attack in a minute. Okay, sorry about that interruption. We'll get back right on it. So, we now have our building. Now, I'm not 100% sure what that's hitting, but it's hitting something. Okay. And that is viable now is actually that. Okay, so now that we've got our viable, we've got our static mesh. And we can set material going by this. We have our static mesh. We've got this wireframe. Okay, so if we have a look at this, we can say we want to rename this. Right, so this is going to be wireframe green. Okay, and we want to duplicate it, and we could do this as a instance, but we're not going to do that. We might later, don't know. Save that. And we just actually made a mess of that. Right. And we want to change this to red. Once it saves, come on, you know you want to save. Okay, so that's that one, and then we want to change this one to red. Okay, that. Save that. And once we've done that, we can then okay, so we've done that. We want to go back to our temp building. And if it's can place, it's going to be green. And if it's not, It's going to be red. So we want a branch there. And basically we say if it is viable, we have it as green. If it isn't viable, we have it as red. Simple as. To tidy this up a bit, we can do that. Then we can center that a bit, leave it there. Okay, so in theory, that should work. There we go. And if we do it again, it's not placing it, but it's not setting the okay. It's one from red, one from green. Okay. Let's have a look at is viable. I think we are going to have to do this as a material instance, to be honest, but let's in the meantime tidy this up a bit. And that seems okay. Let's have a look at that again. Let's got a lot of noise outside. Okay, so on event tick. Right, so we probably don't want it to do this per se. So what we're going to do is we're going to break that for now. In fact, what we'll do is we'll break those, we'll join this back up, right? Now we are going to change this to material instance, but at the moment what we'll do is we'll do a print string off of both of these, right? So we can say can place, and then we'll say not valid to place. Okay, so basically we should see, right, can place, right? So place that down, right? And then if we go again, it says not valid, not valid, not valid. Okay, then that's valid. Not valid. That's valid, but that's not valid. Okay. So I'm not 100% sure. It seems to be to the right. So I think the figures here aren't quite right. This can place building and the line length might have to be, might be 2000, right? Okay, so it says not valid to place. Not valid, not valid, not valid. But it says can place there. Okay, well that's not quite right. Now I'm guessing that's because these locations are not right. So the point here is when it puts down a building, it's not marking it from the center. So when I place that down, let's do that again. When I place that there, it's not actually placing it where it should be, right? So this isn't quite right. Okay. Now, this is an interesting problem to have. Now, we are setting that. But for whatever reason, these aren't quite the same thing. Let's have a look at this, right? If I click on that, it doesn't place it exactly where it should be. Now, let's bring that back up, just tidy it up a bit. Now, where is the transform? What we're going to do is we're going to do a print string here. Right? I'm going to do a location here. So let's see what this actually says when I actually place this down. Right, so we'll stop that just now. We'll change this to 20 seconds. Then we shall break this. Now, I'm just wondering, is that because you'll notice it's placed at 2000 right? So that's good, right? But I'm just wondering here, when we create this temp building, is it actually is it 000, right? So let's have a look at the actual buttons. So it's in the UI, right? And It does create it as 0, 0. Ah, but hang on, he says. We're setting the mouse position, right? Right, so something weird going on here, I think. Alright. Something weird going on here. So if we look at BP temp building again, alright, the problem here is that when we create, right, okay, what I could do is copy this, right, and if we go into the individual building button, and paste it, right, then if we have a look back at the build grid size, it's 500, right? So we can delete that, and then if we change this to 500, okay, and then let's say if we plug these into here, right, let's see what happens when we do that. Still isn't quite right. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop the stream for now and have a think about this. I think I know what the problem is. I think the temp building isn't exactly the same as the actual building. So let me have a look at that while off stream, and we might be back later on to check this out. Okay? So thanks for joining. Hope to see you again. Bye for now.